Welcome to Invictus Motors. We've got Mr. John Mina. He's from Braintree. A couple of days ago, he purchased this Porsche 911, the 991.2 Carrera S. And prior to that, I think he initially contacted us either on a Sunday or a Monday, which was actually last week. And today we're on a the following week, Wednesday. And he just wanted to get into his dream car as soon as possible. He's standing here in front of us, and I'll just let John take over a bit of his story, and then we'll go out for a test drive and just hear him speak about his experiences and his whole journey of how he actually ended up from a Mazda, a Mini, to a Porsche 911.
Right, it's nearly a couple of years ago. We had like a personal family tragedy. My mum sadly died of cancer at very, very short notice, given up to 6 months to live, just out of the blue. Sadly passed away within the 4 months. And obviously that's nearly 2 years ago this July. I'm sort of basically been picking myself up the last couple of years. Got to a stage now where I've sort of like been seriously thinking about, you know, the next part of my journey, get myself a dream car, because it's obviously taken me this long to sort of, you know, pull myself back together. And the interesting thing is, I sort of started a journey about 6 months ago. In actual fact, you could say I started it 18 months ago. 18 months ago, got a Mini Cooper, which was just to replace a BMW E39, which I'd had for about 17 years. So I had that 18 months ago. And then 6 months ago, a year into getting the Cooper, I got a John Cooper Works, which you know a little bit about now.
Because we took it in as a part exchange, isn't it, against
the
911.
And then the next part of my journey was, right, I've had 2 Minis, what I'd like to do. I'm happy with the Mini thing, I want to move on. Get a Japanese sports car, because I thought, you know, never had a Japanese sports car.
We've got something.
And I like Japanese, right? I thought for a while I'm not going to have German. Got a Japanese sports car back in April, MX-5.
You're joking.
Which is the RF model.
Yeah.
Right, which is the hard top retractable. So it's not a soft top. I don't like soft tops. Now the interesting thing about that is I must hold the world record for the shortest ownership time of an MX-5 in the whole world. I bought it and I sold it in 2.5 weeks. Lost a shed load of money, but the reason I bought it and sold it, the plan was to buy it and keep it and then get onto the next stage of a dream car. And the next stage of a dream car was, I started thinking about German and Porsche. And I got so besotted by this, in fact, it was a Cayman originally, which is another story, that I thought I can't have this beauty and the MX-5. So I sold the MX-5. And that's the story in a summary.
Thank you for that story, John. Honestly, I really appreciate it. I think what I would like to do next is go for a drive with John and just get a proper full-on experience of the rest of the Porsche 911 ownership experience. John has got a couple of questions which he's going to ask on the test drive, but this test drive is really about just chatting away and enjoying the Porsche 911. So let's go out for a drive. So I'll turn on these cameras.
All right.
Tim, you could.
What I do with those two.
Oi, sports exhaust.
Yeah, I always have that.
Yeah, good.
Make sure I put the part.
Yeah.
When I'm at lights, I don't actually engage the parking brake at lights. You can tell me off for that.
No, you don't need to engage it at the traffic lights.
It's only when I'm like stopping like permanently.
Yeah?
Yeah, is it recording? Yeah, so...
No, you don't need to turn on the handbrake when you're at the traffic light.
Yeah.
So
the lights are on there.
Yeah, so this is going to take, that's just because of the amount of shade that we've got. The sensors automatically kick that in.
Yeah.
So what an interesting journey you've had, isn't it? You've had an interesting journey with sport cars and...
Yeah.
in such a short while.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 62 years old, isn't it? That's what you said.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is I turned 62 when I bought the MX-5, which I only kept for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And then this is like the next journey, the 911, which is like the pinnacle. But the irony is that the idea was to spread the journeys up, gap of about 1 or 2 years between each journey.
Yeah.
So the MX-5 keep 1 or 2 years and then have the 911.
Mm-hmm.
But because of I was so besotted by it was actually the Cayman that brought me onto the 911.
Yeah.
That I decided to ditch the MX-5 because there was absolutely no reason on earth why I would have the two cars. This is like an all-round car. This is just perfect all round.
This is perfect.
I mean, I would still like a Cayman, believe it or not, because I think the Cayman handles a little bit better. It's a bit sharper.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about this is, well, there's lots of nice things. It's got the rear wheel steering. You know, it's got a smaller turning circle than the Mini that I part exchanged. Smaller turning circle.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You would think.
Seriously, I'm an analyst, as you know, and I looked at the data on the internet. It's smaller, tighter turning circle.
Wow. German engineering at its best, isn't it, when it comes to the 911 product?
It's the rear wheel steering that does it.
Yeah.
But you do notice it. I mean, there's some tight roundabouts where I live, and I sort of back double on the roundabout, so and it just steers like it's like a midget.
Yeah. And it really holds to the ground, doesn't it? It's sort of...
It's like an Olympic, really.
Yeah.
It sort of squats. Shall I open the sunroof or?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, you do it. Yeah. I don't want to make too much noise while we're talking. Yeah, I mean, it's like a leech, really. It just sticks to it, and you feel very confident. And the thing about this car is it's much bigger than the Mini and the MX-5, obviously, but it's easier to drive. I mean,
how do you explain that? This being
I think
easier to drive than a Mazda MX-5.
Well, the thing is,
for
I think
Mini John Cooper's work.
I think because it's sort of squat, and just the fact that it steers really well, it handles really well, and it squats really well, much better than the MX-5, and it just inspires confidence. And the ironic thing is, even though it's got much more power than the Mazda, I mean, the Mazda is like donkey slow.
Yeah.
This is more powerful. You're not afraid of the power.
You're not.
You know, you would think if you've got a really powerful car, which is over 400 brake horsepower, you'd be a little bit worried that it might spin out of control. But because of the weight distribution and the Olympic-like handling, the way it squats on the surface, the PASM, which is like the adaptive, suspension, it just inspires confidence. I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised. I mean, I knew it would be easy to drive, but I was a bit concerned, being a much wider car than the Mini and the MX-5. I might be a little bit more cautious. I mean, I'm still cautious because it's a new car, but bloody hell, it's easier to drive than the MX-5. You feel more confident.
Yes.
And in some ways it reminds me of my BMW E39, which was German, obviously, and that, when you went round corners, felt like it curled round your ankles, which sounds like a cliche, but anyone who's had an E39 Sport would say the same thing. So yeah, very inspiring, very confidence building, and I just love the sound of that engine.
Shall we put it in sports mode?
Yeah, we'll put it in. Put it in there for me. Oh yeah, you notice it. Yeah, it's instantaneous, isn't it? It's interesting because I put the sport mode on the Mini before I dropped it off to you.
You did, yeah.
And I noticed the difference. The acceleration sort of like responds more quickly as soon as you put your foot down. This is obviously more responsive because it's a big, more powerful car. But yeah, right, it's great. Having said that, I think the Cayman, which is the reason I'm in this car, because I initially had the sights on the Cayman, but that didn't, you know, that sort of like fell through. You know,
you were thinking of a Porsche 718
GTS,
2.5 litre turbocharged.
Yeah. And to be honest, and I know I'm not alone in this, I think the Cayman handles slightly better. I mean, it's a case of like brilliant versus brilliant, but the Cayman has just got the edge because of the mid-engine. And I noticed that in the Cayman, it seems to squat better. I think maybe because it's got more even distribution, and the steering's just slightly better, and it's slightly better around corners. I mean, there's not much in it. People describe the Cayman as telepathic, which again is a cliche and sounds like I'm talking out of the backside, but the Cayman feels more telepathic because you point it and it seems to sort of like go there without there's no lag in the steering. This is probably just a little bit of lag.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same about the Cayman. You've driven a lot of Porsches, but
yeah, I mean the Cayman does have slightly sharper handling, but obviously that's a mid-engine sports car. To begin with the 911, a lot of people will describe it that the engine is in the wrong place, and they've spent circa 75 years,
60.
Circa 60 years perfecting it.
Exactly.
But obviously Porsche has been making, you know, initially they made the 356s starting in the early 50s. So when I say 75 years,
you're including that.
Their anniversary, their 75th year anniversary was last year, I think, if memory serves me correct. 1953 was when they really began as a company with the Porsche 356.
Yeah.
Shall we do a left here, John?
Yeah, 71 years, the sort of predecessor to the...
and then we'll just go right,
predecessor to the 911.
Yeah, that's right,
It's the 356.
And they didn't change much from a 356 to the 911 in 1963. We'll just stay right. We'll just go right.
Yeah. And
but yeah, I mean, it's still, I do think overall, from a practicality point of view, you know, it's not as if somebody needs it with a 2+2 layout. The lines of a 911 are just sublime and beautiful to look at. Oh, we'll turn right, John. Turn right,
And the irony is, you know, the last time I was so interested and or inspired by 911 before now was actually over 30 years ago.
That was
when I was growing up. When I was growing up, I had posters of the 911.
Probably a poster of a
I was
964.
besotted by the old, you know, the whale.
The whale tail, the G-body 911,
Yeah, I mean, and then
maybe that's rather than a Porsche 718. I'll find you a G-body 911 as your.
No, I'll stick to the 718 because the thing is now I'm onto the technology. I mean, I like older cars. I like E-types and Mark IIs, but I don't think I could live with the unpracticality and the lack of modern tech. And for me, this is the best of both worlds because it still has. It's like a homage to the old 911s. You just have to look at it. And even inside, it feels like all right, it's a modern sports car, but you know you're in a 911 heritage. So for me, I've got like a 911. You've got the history of the 911, but in a modern package. And for me, it's the best of both worlds. It feels like I'm driving a classic car, but in the modern world. So.
And that says a lot, isn't it? That, you know, you're able to experience two very different things. In a modern car, to feel like, you know, this is a classic car, but at the same time, it's very much a modern.
So this doesn't light up very well in the evening. That in the evening you can see these dials, but you can hardly see those.
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to see where it says the time, 6:15.
Yeah,
digital.
that's all I can see really.
But the rest of it, the chrono watch belongs to
Yeah.
Porsche's heritage, which you use
Yeah.
to time
Yeah.
a lap around the track, and then the
Yeah.
second and the third and the fourth lap,
Yeah.
and it stores a digital record. But this is more of a gimmick now that you're not going to be tracking this, trying to be
Yeah.
yeah.
Off.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah,
Where's your list, John?
Yeah, I've got my list here somewhere. Yeah, so are you still recording?
Yeah.
You don't want to record.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to share this just so that
No, I
people
mean,
do
I'm
know.
awkward. I'm awkward.
Even though you've had this for a week, we're still here to answer
Yeah,
your questions.
No, it's fine. So the sat nav signal, that's in the front
right, yeah.
there.
Spot on.
Yeah, gas particulate filter. This is pre-GPF, and they say there's quite a few issues with GPF.
Correct, yeah.
Like
This is pre-GPF.
yeah,
You wouldn't
like
get
to
this
be more
sound.
reliable.
Yep.
Auto hilt, no, that's fine. Yeah, I mean it's great. You've got the benefit of a heated front screen, even though you can't have a heated front screen because Ford always charge you for, Ford charge you, don't you? Having a oh, in terms of security, I know my old BMW could, on the screen there was an option to put a code, like when you take the ignition out, you can sort of put a 4-digit code in, and you can change a 4-digit code anytime you wanted. But you don't need anything like that. It was like an extra engine immobilizer. It was in the sat nav screen, and it just says code, and you just preset any code. Like
this has what I talked to you about last time around, the fobs. You can activate the tracker.
Yes.
Vodafone tracking solution.
Yeah.
But it's not worth it. The membership is a couple of £100 a year.
Yeah. Although you could give me just that black black tracker. Is it worth just?
If I've got any spare ones next time, I'll give them to you.
Yeah.
I'll look for some spare ones.
Yeah, and we can come back here next time to do a follow-up to this, can't we?
100%. We could do a follow-up in a month's time.
Yeah. There's no tools that come with the car, because I read somewhere about spanners and bits and pieces, but there's nothing that comes with it, is there?
We'll have a look, John. I'll have a look.
Yeah. I like the fact that the red calipers are always in unison.
Yep.
I noticed that when the guy took them off at the garage, that one faces this way and that one faces that way.
That's right, yeah, they are in unison.
Yeah, I noticed that. Look, see attention to detail. Yeah, rear spoiler button, know how to do that. Touch screen is great. We'll sort that out when...
number plate, yeah, correct.
Yeah, when I do it. I sorted that out. Yeah, tracker plastic.
You got your full tank of fuel, remember?
Yeah, I did get that eventually.
I paid you for that.
Yeah, I had to look around, but I got it. Oh, what about a phone holder? What's your advice on that?
There are...
I just need advice, really.
I mean, the best thing is to research what the best thing is.
Yeah.
And then if you need us to fit something...
I'll just get one of those ones that sort of anchor onto here.
That's fine.
And I noticed that the owner probably did the same.
That's it. She did have something there, exactly.
I can have... What's the best way to get rid of that?
Yeah.
What's the best way?
I mean, it's just
Don't
leave
worry.
it. It's a scratch because of a phone holder.
Yeah. I won't worry about it in there. Yeah, shows you had something there. I'll probably do the same.